Hello, everyone. We'll be starting in just a couple of minutes at 1 o'clock on the dot. All right, well, let's get started. Thank you, everyone, for being here in the webinar today. We're going to be going over one of the products underneath the Church360 umbrella, Ledger. So today we're going to talk about how to simplify your church finances with the product today. This is going to be a general overview webinar. We have incredible software consultants and support staff that can take you step by step on how to make the most out of the software. But today we're going to give you the general feel of how it can benefit you in your ministry and make church finances so much easier. So, little introduction for myself here. My name is Rob Davidson. I'm the marketing manager of digital products here at CPH. I started in April, so I am still getting a feel of all of the incredible things that we do here. I led both members and the Unite webinars yesterday, and today to help me with Ledger and Lutheran Service Builder, Ledger specifically today, will be Ken Ohlmeyer. He's the senior marketing manager for Concordia Publishing House, and he'll be giving you the overview presentation after I finish this introduction. Feel free to contact him if you have any questions, as well as our support team or our software consultants, and we'll have contact information with them at the end of the webinar. So let's do a little bit of housekeeping. So we'll have about 50 minutes, a little bit probably underneath that for today's presentation. That'll include probably around 10 minutes for answering any questions. And feel free to ask questions throughout. We'll be paying attention to the chat and the questions feature in order to make sure that we're answering your questions throughout the presentation, especially taking special attention to them toward the end, in order so that you can get the most value out of this experience as possible. It's important to note the recording will be shared. Everyone that has registered will receive the recording emailed to them once we have it up on YouTube and we've edited it a little bit. So some context here, Concordia Technology Solutions is the software division of Concordia Publishing House. All of our products focus on church administration, helping you be more efficient so that you can spend less time on operating the business side, that is running a church, and focus more on your ministry. Our software goes all the way back to 1984. Our Church360 suite is our more modern web-based suite. So today we're going to be talking about Ledger. It's underneath the Church360 suite, and it directly integrates with our other environment called Church360 Members. It talks back and forth with the offering data in order for you to have more thoughtful reporting as it connects to your people data. And we also have an incredible product such as Unite that we talked about yesterday. Ledger, as a church finance software solution, is both intuitive, secure, and focused. And Ken's going to walk you through on all the aspects that we find are the biggest benefit to keep in mind when you're considering a software solution. Like we said in today's title, it's all about simplifying your church finances. We know that often most of the church finances are going to be run by either yourself when you have a significantly busy schedule or by a volunteer. So making sure that no errors can occur, as well as it's approachable by someone who doesn't have a finance background, is really important. So we're going to make a couple assumptions today. One, that you're slightly familiar with church finances. It might not be the strongest area of your skill set within your ministry, but at least you understand the core piece that you understand that needs to be managed in order to be a great steward of your church. We're going to assume that you're new to Church360 Ledger and that you're looking for a topical overview of all the things, the core benefits that it does for church workers, and that you are extremely busy and your time is valuable. So feel free in the chat to tell us a little bit about yourself. We want to make sure that we are serving all of you as thoughtfully as possible. And so if you want to tell us where you're from and what your role is, that would give us a little bit more information about how to kind of speak to the needs that you have within the church. Give you a couple minutes to do that. We imagine that a good amount of you are church treasurers, potentially, or administration, financial secretaries. There we go. Thank you, Susan. Great. Thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate your attention. And again, feel free to put any questions that you may have in the chat as well as we go throughout this webinar today. Church admin and treasurer. Thank you, Linda. Wonderful. Oh, and Pastor Doug. Wonderful. All right, well, let's keep moving. So today's outline, we're going to cover a couple of those topics that I mentioned. We're going to go over the goals of Church360 Ledger, kind of the main things that it does for church workers in all of your positions. We're going to kind of tour the software, give you a feel on what to expect when you utilize your free trial, and we're going to answer any questions that you may have. So what are the goals of Church360 Ledger? As I've said before, the primary purpose is to simplify church management software that speaks to the finance bit of your responsibility. Like I said, church finances are often managed by volunteers, which means more often than not, your volunteers are not licensed accountants. And so they need whatever tools that they're using to be approachable and easy for them, but also to make sure that they're not making any mistakes. As we all know, accountability is extremely important to the church, and making sure that there's no ability to have either accidental or ill-intentioned wrongdoing done. We've created a specific software solution that really kind of curbs in the experience so that you can't create some what we like to call creative accounting, and so you can very easily track where every dollar is going within your church, and that no one accidentally or with ill intent mismanages your finances. Church360 Ledger was designed to increase accountability, to prevent mistakes, and we hope that you're going to get that gist throughout Ken's presentation today. So again, basic introduction, we're going to go through the chart of accounts. We're going to go through some budgeting, transactions of credits and debits and how they're shown within the software, and how to do reconciliation and reporting. So let's go ahead and get started. Ken, you ready to take the wheel?
I'm muted. There we are. I sure am. And I want to thank everybody for joining us today. As Rob said, we're going to do a very, very high level overview of Ledger today. We won't probably take the whole 50 minutes, so we'll have plenty of time, maybe even get out of here a little bit early today as well. I'm going to actually grab the ability to show my screen. Grab that right now so I have that. As Rob said, my name is Ken Olemeyer, and I'm one of the senior marketing managers here at Concordia Publishing House. And we mentioned that CTS has been developing the software since 1984. And I will say this right now, I'm a marketing guy. I'm not an accountant myself. And if it weren't for the volunteers that we have at our church and those who have a financial background, I don't know what I would do. But if I were thrown into a situation where I needed to use software in order to help maintain our church finances, I certainly would look at Ledger. And with me showing you this, I'll show you just how easy it is. And I'm going to give you just the overview of everything. Probably won't get into reconciliation today, but we definitely will look at our different books, different materials that you would be going through, and deposits and credits and things of that nature. But I wanted to show you how simple and easy Church360 Ledger is to work with. And the key on that is the simplicity, the behind the scenes actions that happen that almost make it foolproof in many ways, and the ability to save you time. Whether you're a volunteer doing the church finances or you're a church administrator, and that's now a role that you've been taking on as well, or you're the pastor and you want to get a good sense of what is going on with the church finances. See, in my role here at CPH, one of the things I do is I get out and I talk with a lot of pastors, I talk with church administrators, I get a chance to talk with volunteers as well. And maybe you just got the volunteer position. Maybe it was just asked of you to, hey, can you help out with our church finances? I hear the same thing over and over again when I do talk to all those different groups. It's basically, how can we keep our church finances sustainable, and how can we do it and be good stewards of any of the funds that come in, and how can we do that easily? I think we've got a good option for you here with Church360 Ledger. In fact, I know we do, and I'm really excited to share it with you. So we're going to be looking at this from a 30,000 foot view. I'm not going to be able to get too deep into anything, but I want to give you the good overview. Rob mentioned some of our Concordia Technology Solutions specialists and our support team, things like that. We have some fantastic people that would love to be able to walk you through the software and help answer any of your particular questions. So we're not going to be able to cover everything in the time that we have here today. We know that, but we're going to give an overview. We're going to look at it and how it focuses on your church finances. In fact, that's why we call this one Ledger. Members focuses on your members. Unite brings everything together on your website and is able to tell your story. But with Ledger, we're going to just take a look at how the software is arranged, how it provides a quick glance, right? And you can dig in deep, or you can just get that quick glance of where your church finances are. I'm going to show you how simple it is to use, and most importantly, just how automatic this is for you. And this saves you time, as I said. It'll save you time for other ministries that you have. And unlike a lot of other financial software programs that may require a lot of manual input, a lot of Ledger's power is behind the scenes. It's things that are actually, if you make a mistake, it's going to tell you you made a mistake, and it's going to help you find the way to correct that mistake. So a lot of that is behind the scenes. So let's go ahead and jump in. I've switched over to my screen, and that's what you're seeing here. This is the opening home screen when you sign into Ledger. And it looks like an awful lot of information, and we'll walk through all this different information as we go through it as well. But I want to give you just an overview and kind of walk you through where everything is located. So as you look at this, when you start, you see this $ here at the top left corner of your web browser. And again, all of this is web-based. So that makes it very convenient if you need to access this from anywhere. I think one of the things we found during COVID was that we sometimes just weren't in the office. And having the ability to work and continue the business of the church while we're anywhere. We're at home, we're in a coffee shop, we might be even on vacation and we need to check some things. Having this web-based is so much more convenient, and it can be Mac or PC as well. So the top left corner here is the $sign, and that is always going to take you to your home screen. And you'll see me hit that a few times as we go through this demo so that I can get back to this home screen. Now, the next one, the drop down, is all your different books. And some churches may just have one book. Some may have a sister parish that you want to keep a book on, or maybe you want to break it up like I do here with Vacation Bible School. Maybe you have a school attached to your church and you want to keep financial records separate for your school. You can do different ministries like a men's ministry or a music ministry. All of those different books are accessible right here on the home screen. And we'll get into the books in a little bit. And as we move right, you see the print button. And now this is for printing checks. And you see the print queue that I've got here. And if I just click into that and I want to go ahead and print, we have forms that we would recommend that you can use for printing your checks straight out of your ledger. You see how I've got this set up here with everything that's needed to print a check so that I can send it off to the vendors that I need to send it off to as well. I'm going to get back to my home screen as well. The other thing you also notice here is in the kind of middle of the screen on the right side, there's also a print button. Well, that you can use to print your general ledgers, your different books, everything like this. I just clicked into it and you see how it would come up and show that I can print this material right here. Again, this is very, very convenient to have. I'm just going to click out of that. This is very convenient to have right at the front because you can use it from all the different screens to print where you are. Let's say you just have to give that record to somebody and you need to be able to do that quickly. And it would open up in a new tab then as well. And then you also see here, export to Excel. Now, I really like this feature because this allows you to make much more customized graphs or charts. And I just downloaded it. It's going to open up. It's actually opening up in my other window here. I'm going to pull this here so you can see it. And you can see that then I can go in, I can do some edits myself. I can add colors. I can format it in any ways possible. And I can take this material, this information, and make it into a chart or a graph as well. So really, it's being able to incorporate all of this information in your ledger sheets and do it however you want to be able to do it. Next, as I move across, you see pending transactions. And I've got two tabs open here right now because I actually have two different examples of ledger. For some reason, my one example that I have doesn't show any pending transactions, but this one does. And I wanted to show you where those would come and where you would see those pending transactions. And you see I've got a number here. So I've got a number of different pending transactions. But I can also take a look at the most recent transactions that I've made that are pending. I can scroll down and I can see all these. I can even dig into these if I needed to dig into them further. So you see that I just clicked onto it. It opened up a new window that gave me more information about that particular pending transaction. You see on the right-hand corner, there's a little X. I'm going to click out of that. That'll take me right back to where I was. But this is so nice because you can see, you know, like monthly payments that I've got coming, different things of that nature. Again, you just click into it and it takes you right to where you need to go. And I'm kind of scrolling through that rather fast, but you see all the different ones there. And as I click out of those two, you know, as I may say, I check and I've seen the ones, you see my number is reducing here at the top so that I'm not too cluttered up with things. Okay, let me go back to this other screen. And I wanted to show you that just because for some reason this screen did not have pending transactions here. But it does allow you to drill down very, very quickly. The next thing you see in our navigation of Ledger is our book of reports, this icon right here. And when I click and do the drop-down menu on the book of reports, you see 4 different books that I've got going right now. We have our general ledger, we have our income and expenses, we have our chart of accounts, and we have our balance sheet. And these are the 4 main reports that you'll be using and looking at. And we'll get into those a little bit more in detail later. But you also see something right here, and I'm going to point it out, the event log. And the event log basically keeps track of all the steps, all the things that have occurred, the different events that have happened by whoever is signed on and the username, et cetera. And I'm going to click back into that. And that event log is so convenient for auditing purposes. We always talk about the idea of preventing the ill intention from doing wrong and preventing the well intention from making mistakes. Mistakes do happen when you're going through your accounting processes, but we want to make sure that you're able to then go back and understand where those mistakes happened, or perhaps who was responsible for that mistake, so you can discuss it with them. It's just a very fail-safe feature, so that if you had to be audited or if you needed to find out some information, you've got it right there, and it automatically keeps track of all of that. Again, think about when you're doing this, just pencil and paper. How you have to keep track of all the things that you do. This does it for you automatically, and it makes it so much more simple. All right, those are the 4 books, and we'll come back to these: the ledger, income and expenses, chief chart of accounts, and balance sheets later. But I also want to show you this one too, this cogwheel. This is our settings menu, and you see that this is divided into 2 different areas right now. The top section is specific to the books that you're looking at. And there may be some different information that changes as you look at different information or different book. But the icon remains the same, and all those would be there. So you've got your chart of accounts. You can look at your budgets, your fiscal years, your recurring transactions, or your imported transactions. So for instance, if I clicked into budgets, and I look at this gives me this year's budget, and you see I'm kind of behind on that, but let's click into an older budget and see what I've got. And you can see my total budgets and the different expenses that I'm planning on, and we break this out monthly and different things of that nature for you. So again, it's very convenient. I can also start setting budgets for the coming year. My chart of accounts, we'll get into these a little bit more, but I just want to show that they're available to you right there. The other thing, as you then go down after that top section, you see things like general, you see users, and this is great because you can add different users to your ledger account, and they can have different roles. So for instance, if I go into the next tab, which is roles, I can have, if I'm the chief administrator of Ledger, I can determine what access I have, whether it's all books, if I can manage the chart of accounts, if I can create payments, etc. But let's say I wanted to add somebody into, say, music ministry, or many of us just got finished with Vacation Bible School over the summer. Imagine how much time it would have saved if you would have been able to have your VBS director have access to certain things in your ledger program so that they could take care of recurring transactions, or maybe making the deposits and things of that nature. So you can add new roles in here. So for instance, if let's say I did this here real quick, it's as simple as doing this. I click into add. I'm going to say, let's do men's ministry. See right there, it shows I typed too fast and I didn't do it correctly. So let's say men's ministry. And then that role is going to apply to the book that I wanted to do, which was men's ministry. And then let's say for that particular role, I want them to be able to view the chart of accounts. They can manage a chart of accounts, and they can create deposits. They can create journal entries, create payments. Let's just say I want to stop right there. I hit submit, and you see the role was created. It tells me this right up at the top of my screen, and it shows it right here and what they are capable of doing and having access to. Just again, very, very convenient. I click on my $sign, takes me right back to my opening home screen. The other thing in here is the books. We mentioned how easy it is to add a book. Again, if I want to do that, just add a new one, name it. You can do the fiscal year, when it starts. You can provide a starting date if that's what you wanted to do as well. I won't add another book, but it's very, very simple to do, and it really does help if you're trying to designate certain funds to certain areas, or if you have people that are responsible for writing checks or receiving income, whether it's registration fees or anything of that nature, it does help to have those type of things separate. And then lastly, under this cog or this wheel are your payees. And this is nice because you can add new payees. You can even search your payees. Let's say I wanted to find internet. Okay, I just type right in off the bat, INT, my internet payment comes right up. I love this in actually all of the Church360 suite. When you're trying to search something, it will even just take the first few letters of something. So trash, oh, there it is, TRA, I get Allied Trash and Recycling. And then if I were to click into this, I have the access to put their name, contact information, their addresses. I can put any specific notes that I want to add into there, submit that, and I've got that. I can also look at the history. On this particular one, I don't have a history for the payee, but if I were to go in here and say that, and perhaps click out of there, click in history, okay, it shows a few of the expenses that I've had right away. Again, just think how easy that's going to be for you. If you have somebody who's asking about a payment that you made to one of the payees, or somebody that you were writing a check to, or providing financing or funding to, and you needed to look it up real quick, it's all right there, right at your fingertips. I love that. All right, I'm going to go back to there. And we talked a little bit about adding new books. I'm not going to go into this. And the final icon at the top right is your user settings. And again, these are just certain things that are just going to be intuitive once you sign on. And even if you do your free trial, you'll be able to go in here and do your user settings, you know, password, email, etc. Click out of that. And then the last few things here. This top bar that you see right here, we call that the Omni bar, and that's the search bar as well. And I like this, as I said, with any of the Church360, you can just start typing in things. So let's say I want to go to a specific section. Let's say I go to assets. There are all my assets. I can search, oh, I don't know, liabilities. Abilities, if I spelled it right. Yep, I'm going to go here. When I go back to there, I'm going to go, oh, there it is. Liabilities. So I don't show anything in this particular view, but if I had something to show, it would be there. But I can also go into, let's say I want to do money market and check my money market. I can go in and find out information right away. So again, having that ability to either start typing or even just do a drop-down menu is very nice as well. And then the next thing you see here is new transactions. And we'll get into this a little bit more in depth, but you see things like transfer, you see things like deposit, payments that are made, checks, journal entry, all of those are in there, and we'll discuss that a few more times as we go along. And then last but not least, in this home view, you see this big dashboard, and it provides the entire program, gives you a glimpse of what you're looking at. And I love this because then you can also dig deep into any of these. You can click into them, kind of what we were doing before. Oop, I got into payees, but I can click in there, and let's say I want to take a look at checks that have been done. I can take a look at that just by clicking into it. It's all right there at my fingertips. And then one thing I always love to point out, and this is so important, I know for me in particular, when I'm working on anything with Ledger, I usually have a few questions as I go along. And you see this little bottom, oh, let me get out of there. You see that little circle I down here at the bottom. This is a great thing to keep in mind on any page that you're on. If you click into it, it is our information section. And it's a place that you can easily get to if you have a question on something, if you want to search one of the menus. So writing checks, let's say. Let's see if anything comes up. How do I write a check using restricted fund money? And I can click into that, and it'll take me to our very extensive library of help topics and help features. So all of that is available to you. But then something even more important, and this is why I think the ability to work with Concordia Technology Solutions is so important and so valuable for the church. It's written by church people for church people, and we are here in the United States, ready to answer your questions and take care of you if you have any questions or any concerns, or even if you just come up with an idea for something. We're always listening to our customers to get that next new idea, because you're working with this day in and day out, and we want to make sure that this is working best for you as well. But type in a subject matter, try to give us as much detail or as much information as you can, and then you can send priority, normal, high, urgent, and you can send that email to us, and our tech folks will respond just as soon as they can for you. We always have somebody on call, so there should be somebody that can respond pretty promptly for you. The other thing you can always do, and this is more during the normal business hours, but you can call us at 800-346-6120, and one of our tech support staff would love to help you on this. So let me just click out of there, click off of that. I always like to point out the circle I, because I think that is so important, and just having that lifeline, if you will, is always so convenient. So let's take a look at new transactions. I kind of talked about this a little bit. You have transfer, you have deposit, payment, check, and journal entry. So let's look at transferring. When you open up transfer, you see this window come up, and this is just moving dollars between accounts. And this can only occur, though, from an asset to an asset, to an expense to an expense, an income to income, liability, liability, etc. So the first thing you can do is enter your memo data. And this is optional. You don't have to put the memo in there, but if, let's say, you wanted just to type a little note that you could remind yourself what it is, do this. The date automatically populates, or you can go in and backdate something. And that's important too, because there might be times where maybe you didn't get a chance to get to the report right away, and now you're inputting some data, and it was last week, let's say, or the week before. This allows you to backdate it. And then you just put in your asset or your liability. Let's just say, let's go income. Just throw an example out here. Let's see if I can do this properly. $75. And I've got to put this into another income. So you see it automatically brings it into income. And let's say that was fundraiser income. Let's see if this works. I hit save. You see at the top, it says transaction was created. So right there, it shows that I did it properly, and the date that was in there. And if I were to look down here, I really wasn't paying attention to the date that I put that in. So, but it is there. Now let's show something real quick too. Let's say I do this and I put petty cash and I do 250, but then here, let's see, I do savings account, but I don't, it automatically populated the other number, but let's just say I did 200. Well, it shows me right there that I've got another 50 that I've got to do. So if I hit save, the transaction could not be created because line items must sum to 0. So let me see if I put in something else here, and then I save it, and then you see my transaction was created. So a lot of the times, and I know when I'm working on this and I'm doing even these demos, I'll often just flub stuff up and just make a mistake. So make sure that when that does happen, you're seeing the alert and you're being able to respond to that alert, or you're then going into the general ledger or the event log, and you can see the transactions that I just created just now. And I can even click into the transactions and see what I had. It really does make it convenient, and really does make it something that is almost foolproof for you. Okay, so we did that with the transaction. Hit save, got the general ledger. What about deposits? And I love deposits. Deposits are great because that means we're bringing income in and adding money to one of our assets accounts, like our checking account or our savings account. And again, this is very similar to the transfer. Same type of thing. The memo situation at the top, the date that I can either keep or that I can backdate, the payee, which is again optional. So let's just say we received a let's just say we received an insurance money market, and it was $30. Got to have my income here. So what is my income? I'm going to take it and just do it to the general fund. Save that. And you see my transaction was created. So it's very, very simple to do. And if you have any type of accounting background, it should just be second nature to you. If you don't have an accounting background, you can continue to do it like I do. And if you mess it up, you'll be able to correct it right away. Now, you can also go back in there and you can void or copy or make some of these reoccurring as well. Another new transaction is payments. So payments, again, same type of thing. Won't go too deep into that, but this is where you can put your electronic transactions, either online or electronic payments. And with payments now, only your assets or your liability and your expenses can be used. So it's very similar to the other transactions that I just showed you. So we'll skip over that for the time being. But again, when you open it up, you see the little circle X at the right, just click off of that and it'll take you to your next area as well. Checks are one of the great things and one of the things that make it very, very easy here on Church360 Ledger. So let's just say, let's write a check. So let's say I'm picking up new hymnals. So I just put that in my memo line. I'm sending this out the first of the month, so I just backdate it. Payment, I'm getting these through CPH. So I don't know if I had, oh, let's just do Concordia Publishing House. And let's see, check number 12660. So I can put my check number on there as well. Asset or liability, I'm just doing this out of my checking account. Oh, let's say I had to get a whole bunch of new hymnals. So it was $325. And access unrestricted, let's see. Let's see in here, ministry expense. Oh, we'll keep that as ministry expense. And then I hit save. And my check now has been added to my print queue. So let's go into that real quick. So again, you see the number up here has been increased by 1. I click into there. Here is the new hymnal check dated today. I'm going to click there. I hit print. It opens up the form that I have on there. And again, if you have specific print forms that you use or something, just work with you and make sure that we can format this correctly for you. But there are certain forms that we can recommend as well. So I can print that and then send that check off right away. Okay, I'm going to hit my $sign, go straight back to my home page. Now, the last thing in there, sorry, over here. Nope. I'm sorry, I was in new transactions. Last one is journal entry. Now, journal entries are great. Let's say you're balancing items and you notice there's a payment or other transaction that might be off by a few dollars. You can do a journal entry to change that account information, or maybe it's just bank fees and interest. So let's just say it's a service fee, and let's just do it for today. And it was Ameren Electric. It was a service fee that I wasn't thinking about. And just say rental. And it was 35. Let's see if that works. Now, see, it couldn't be created because I have to have at least 2 valid items. So let's see here. Well, let's not take the time to worry about that now, but you can go in there and keep track of your service fees or any other types of balance information that you need to do. You can also then go in there and edit and void it and copy it as well. Now, I've talked about the dashboard a little bit, and I want to go a little bit deeper into the dashboard, do a little bit of a deep dive here. You see this drop down right here? When I drop it down, it shows me my assets, my liabilities, my income, my expenses. And from there, I can then click into that and then dig deeper into that particular information like assets. And I can even go in and just click into any one of these, and it drives the information further deep for me. So I'm going to click back into there. Income is another one. Let's say I click into that. I can show all the different deposits, different transfers, building funds, different things here and there. And I'll show you that when we get into the books a little bit. I can also, and I love this feature too, I can also look at different years. So as I'm working through my ledger and my financial information for the course of a year, I can take a look at the quarters. Just for instance, let's do this, 2019. Let's see what happens if I click into 2019. And let's say I just want to dig into Q1 in 2019. You're seeing the information change immediately there for me. So I can go back and review previous years, previous quarters. I can do particular months, or I can give it a specific time frame. And that is so convenient. Also, when you need to write that report, or if you had somebody come to you and say, I really need to know how we did on our budget from January through March of a year ago so that we can plan for the coming January through March. So those type of things are just fantastic, and they're so quick and so easy for you to figure out. I love the fact that you can do, as I said, quarterly or specific months. All right, let's go back up to the top and again look at our, look at our general ledger and our different books here. So if I click into general ledger now, you see that that opens up. It also shows just everything that's there for me. And there are a lot of ways that I can customize this as well. So I can look at the date, but I can also look at the type of information that I want. Right now I've got everything checked, but if I click into that, let's just say I want to look at deposits. I click into that and it will just show me the deposits. Or I want to take a look at, I click off of deposits. Let's say I want to look at transfers. And again, it'll just come in here and show me the transfers that have occurred, whether it was a correction as you see there, or service fee, or petty cash, or anything like that. I can also look at the payees. And in this case right now, I don't have any payees listed, but they can be linked to that. In fact, let me just get out of here and go back to all. So let me look at the payees. Let's take a look at this, and let's say I just want to look at everything that I paid to Concordia Publishing House in a year, or yeah, in this past year so far. I can do that very quickly. I can take a look and see what some of those particular payee information was. Let me click off of that. I can also look at my accounts and change that. Again, same type of thing, customize as you've set these up for your own particular church, but be able to look at, say, maybe not all of those, maybe I just want to look at men's ministry. I can take a look at what is going on with our men's ministry from a deposit standpoint, or any other available funds that are going on just from the available ledger. I click out of there and go back. And again, what's great on that too is I can then send that and export that to Excel and have that information in my hands. If I look into income and expenses, same type of thing. I have these drop-down arrows that can, from my income, I can look at it. I can change my views to make it just easier for me to grasp at one quick glance, or I can just look deeper into any one of these as well. Now, interestingly enough, and I've got this new example here that doesn't have some of the actual monies in it, but let's just go back to 2019 again. And you can see I can take a look at my percent of budget as well. So I can look at what my budget was versus what my actual was, and take a look at where I am or what remains or where I particularly may have gone over, and be able to then take a look at that and really explore why I may have gone over or what other expenses we may have had. And then again, I can export that to Excel. It opens up down here. I double click that. It's going to open up. You see this on my screen. And then I have that information in a nice report, in a nice form that I can then share with my church council, or maybe it's a voters meeting, or anytime somebody needs that type of information, it's there at their fingertips and available to them. All right, click out of there. The chart of accounts. Now, the chart of accounts is just kind of the collection of different accounts that I've got going right now. And this report gives you just a good quick overview of your church's overall financial standing. Again, trying to be good stewards of those gifts that God has given to us. So you can take a look at, what the changes were, what my debits, credits are, my ending balances. Again, I can click through and I can, extend these or reduce the size of these so that I can see it easier and just make it more convenient to me. I can also export this to Excel. I know I keep talking about that feature, but I love the fact that you can just put it out here, because maybe not everybody's going to have access to your ledger, but then you can at least print out the reports and provide that information to them conveniently and easy. And then the last one on here is your balance sheet. Again, I'm looking at some older numbers here, but you can look at your starting balance, your ending balance, your debits, your credits, your change, plus or minus, which is the actual difference between everything, and the change percentage-wise. And then you can go your assets less your liabilities down there at the end as well, and keep track of everything there. And then we've also talked about that event log. And you know, the event log is great too, because it can give you, well, I'm in 2019, let's just bump that over here and see some new changes. But it can also show you the different actions. You know, I can do that, the different types. Right now I just have everything as all. But especially if you have different people using your ledger and you have different roles, the user would be listed here, and you'd be able to search out, you know, who had had a particular event happen or occur, and be able to do that. So we're gonna be a little bit shorter here on our time, and I want to give you some time back. But I show all of this and this general overview just to show you how easy Church360 Ledger is, and what a really powerful and intuitive tool it can be for you. And just imagine what you could do with a software like this and how it would free up your time. And it's funny, I always think about this as we do these type of demonstrations. There are always kind of two types of people that take the time to watch something like this. Someone who will watch a demonstration like this and decide, well, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm going to be doing, and they're going to keep getting the same results all the time. Or there's the type of person that watches a demo like this. Maybe you saw one or two things that piqued your interest, and you said to yourself, well, maybe I should sign up for that free demo and just see and play around with it myself. I think if you're one of those type of people, you'll find that the demonstration and the free demo will help, and you'll get a sense of the software. And as I said, we have some tremendous software consultants that would love to be able to walk you through this, and maybe even do a more customized demonstration for you. So one of the things that we've got is a 37-day trial on this, a free demo, 37 days. You say, Ken, well, why 37 days? Well, it gives you a month to actually work with the software and play around with it and try to import those offerings, or maybe look at the bills that you have and the expenses that you have, or the income that's coming in. And then it gives you another 7 days to help do the reconciliation and help kind of close your book out for the month and get a sense of how to do that. So we'll show the information on that. I'm going to actually just wrap up here and just say, yeah, I hope that you've seen there's so much that you can do with Church360 Ledger, and I really, really only scratched the surface on this. Again, if I was more of an accountant type of person and could dig into some of the intricacies with you, I'd do that. But we just really touched the surface. But we're going to be offering more of these type of webinars, these overview webinars, and actually something very exciting, a CTS Academy that I'm sure Rob will talk about, where there may just be those little nuggets of information. Let's say you just want that little 3-minute, 5-minute clip of how do I do this specific thing? Well, Rob and his team are working on that right now. But be looking for those type of announcements coming up. And we thank you so much for attending today. If there's ever anything we can do, by all means, please get a hold of Rob or myself or one of the software consultants that he'll be introducing you to here in a minute. But don't hesitate to contact us. We are here for you so that your church can thrive, and so that you also have the time to do extra ministry. So Rob, I'm going to send it back to you. I'm going to give you back control of the screen. Whoop. I'm going to change presenter. Oh, you got it. Excellent. And I'm going to stay online with you and see if we have any questions, because I'm sure that I gave every answer that somebody was looking for, right?
Well, I just want to repeat, we have a 37-day free trial. So that gives you a full month plus an extra week to reconcile all of your accounts, so that it's all, easy, and you don't feel rushed throughout that process. Like Ken said, Dave Farnham and Stephen Jenkins would be happy to assist any additional questions that you have, that you think of after we close things up today. But like Ken said, let's go ahead and jump into the couple of questions that we had during the webinar today. So first one here, Susan asks, Church currently uses Shepherd Staff for offerings and QuickBooks for payables, and GL can both be easily transitioned into 360. Yes. So our support team does this all the time, working with moving our the Shepherd Staff data and QuickBooks data into Church360, and we make it absolutely as easy as possible for you. We get that question all the time. Ken, I might need your help for this one. Is Ledger intended to be a full alternative to something like QuickBooks? And how does Ledger handle credit card payments where different expenses need to go against different budget line items, even though the credit card is overall a single payment in the ledger?
Let me give just a quick answer to that, Pastor Doug. It can be an alternative to something like QuickBooks. And what's great about Ledger is it is designed for church work. So it has many of the features that might be unique in your church work. If you use it in conjunction with something like Church360 members, and you're bringing in those offerings, there are different options within that where you can do cash, check, credit card, or electronic payment. We work very closely with Vanco and have a very good integration with Vanco and members, and that information can then be brought into your ledger as well. As far as the specifics of that, that's just an overview. I really would feel more comfortable connecting you with either Stephen or Dave and letting them walk through that with you, because there may be some intricacies that I'm just not aware of since I don't use this every single day. But it should be something that we would be able to make those designations for you so that you can keep your books accurate.
All right, that looks like everything. All right. Well, thank you.
Again, as the week goes on, or even an hour or two passes, and you come up with something, you say, oh man, I should have asked this, or that just wasn't clear even with their explanation of it. By all means, reach out to us, reach out to Stephen or Dave, ask questions. We love to respond. We love to get you the answer that you're looking for. And if we can't get you the answer, then we'll help you find a solution as well.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Take care and have a wonderful rest of your week.
Thank you.